sound like the stuff of science fiction, right? Sound completely unbelievable. How could our military possibly be using those in future warfare? Guess what? We just had a recent breakthrough, more great test results that are making lasers a reality. So it's called Athena. Lockheed Martin makes it, and they've been doing a lot of the pioneering in this laser field. Now what's really exciting about it is that it's so hard to harness that much power and make it compact enough that it's actually going to make practical sense downrange. And they've proven that they can do that. Recently, they tested it against 5 moving drones, so realistic drones that they might go up against with, enemy forces might send against us, for example, or terrorists might send against us. And it successfully shot down all 5 of the drones. This is huge news because it means that in a realistic, practical setting, it's looking very promising. So it could be ready to field quite soon. So when you see the movies or you look at comic books or television shows, when you see laser weapons, they tend to be a color, right? Red or green or something like that. Real lasers, one of the key advantages that they provide is that they are invisible. You actually can't see them. You just see this damage suddenly starting to blow something up. So if we take a look now at what the Athena did to a truck. So we're looking at a truck engine, and the Athena within seconds was able to beam right in there, heat the whole thing up, and burn through the engine of this vehicle. So imagine if you were in that vehicle, all of a sudden, this hole would start appearing in your engine, and the whole thing would just disappear.
Those who live in the Willow Creek Ranch estates were allowed back today, and while no homes were destroyed, there were some buildings and vehicles that were, so it is affecting things there.
This is basically a little trailer that I had had tools in and stuff. William Bullard surveys what the Irish fire did to his cattle ranch. We thought might not burn because it was a little more bare, like over here that this little bare spot is, but something caught on fire and it took off.
With a heads up from a neighbor who spotted the smoke, his family had only an hour or so to load up their animals and belongings before the fire raced across their property. He moved 4 of his vehicles away from any trees or structures, leaving them behind in the open. The flames destroyed all of them.
Nothing but metal left. Everything, you can see the aluminum rims are melted. It was so hot. Look.
Hey guys, it's 11:30 a.m. on October 10th, 2017, and I just want to go over some basic facts with you guys about fires. The average house fire burns at a temperature of about 1100 degrees Fahrenheit, which isn't hot enough to destroy most metals and earthly made substances. And if an item is well placed and small in size, its chances of survival increase drastically. Let's take a look at the burning point of a couple of materials. Glass burns at around 2600 to 2900 degrees Fahrenheit, which is more than double the regular temperature of house fires or forest fires. And let's see, what we can find out about aluminum. Aluminum melts at around 1220 degrees. Some alloys burn a little bit hotter, around 1900 degrees. Now let's take a look at what the National Institute of Fire Safety and Safety Training say what will not generally burn in a house fire. Jewelry, because it's metal. Silver coins, because they're metal. Filing cabinets. Steel filing cabinets are built to last so that businesses won't have to deal with the loss of important files after building fires. Many people keep personal documents in filing cabinets, which are often kept in home offices. And it says here that silver burns around 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's go down to barbecue grills, cookware, some appliances, stone table, fire safes. Let's see, it says here about tools. Because the melting point of carbon steel is between 2600 and 28 degrees Fahrenheit. And the melting point of stainless steel is roughly 2700 degrees. So you're not going to see your barbecues melt. You're not going to see your ovens and your most of your appliances. They're not going to melt. They'll be burned, they'll be damaged, but they're not going to melt. It's common to find an appliance or two that remains intact. There's chaos around there, but many appliances these days are made with stainless steel, which gives them a sleek and design durability. So a lot of people have these things, but the metal, the frame itself of these things is not going to. Well, let me just show you some pictures here of normal house fires. What's usually left afterwards? There's a bunch of rubble and everything's black. Usually, the frames of the buildings stand. And there's a bunch of crap around the trees, or around the place, buildings The frame of the building stays intact. The entire building does not disappear. There's still debris. There's a huge debris field after these things. You see there's like gutters and stuff. And the wood, even though it does burn, it doesn't totally burn. Now this is white stuff from what they put the fire out with, but generally you see that all of these houses, every one of them is black. Now this car was right next to a fire, and it still has glass. Its wheels are still intact. This thing actually burned, but it didn't melt the tires. It didn't melt the glass of the vehicle. You see all the rubble? This is just rubble because these places implode. After the structure falls apart, it collapses. But you still see they're all singed. They're all black. And even in the forest fires, the trees themselves are still black. And you can see, you have bricks on the bottom, and not all the aluminum siding or vinyl siding melts. Look at these. The structure, the outward frame of the houses still stands. But that's not what we see in these crazy forest fires. The entire things just disappear. And there's very little explanation for it. Now this was a USA something wildfires. This is a new trend we're seeing where the entire building just disappears. There's absolutely nothing left, and that's what we're seeing again here in this. And this is becoming a growing trend, guys. There's no explanation for it.
Sorry for cutting you off there. In Truth by Grace. Before I begin, I just want to thank everybody for the research that they did last year on the fires, because it provides us with the information that we now have to recognize that once again, in 2018, this is what you see. These are not wildfires. Wildfires do not selectively target homes, passing the vegetation, leaping over it, skipping around it, and then boom, targeting the home. You want to believe your authority figures, your mainstream media reporters, that these are embers flying, traveling long distances, and it ends up on the roof of a home and literally destroys, obliterates, disintegrates everything in the home. Look at that square, by the way. I'm going to get into scalar weapons in a moment. But that can only be caused by frequencies. So, you're telling me that embers flew from the mountains all the way down to that one home, and it looks like the fire is actually inside. The smoke is coming out of the home through the roof. It leapt over all of the bushes and the trees, and boom, hit that home. Sorry. That just doesn't happen. I will be getting into information that I found last night, documents on laser weapons that are being used. Now, can they target a home, hitting a smart meter and causing a fire? Absolutely. But that's not the only way. They have many lasers that they can hit anything that is going to detonate, anything explosive, or the electrical wiring to bring about. Right there, that's they even have electromagnetic bombs. Now, do you see that very defined line right there? That's not a wildfire. That looks like it was hit with a laser. Fire on the left, no fire on the right. Common sense should at least beg questions in people's minds when they see what I'm showing you right now. Really, this is a wildfire. You know, I already, on the videos that I've posted on these fires, I already have people commenting the dew deniers commenting, leaving comments. It's very hard to see this over and over again. You can see the different colors in the flames. If you watch the news, you'll see what they're calling wildfires. You'll see an awful lot of red, but then you'll see spots of white flame. Those are the homes going up. That's a wildfire. Really? Okay. Well, white flames are the hottest. Anywhere from 24 to 2700 degrees Fahrenheit. The average house fire is 1100 degrees Fahrenheit. So something is very wrong here. Something explosive is happening to these homes. That's not a wildfire. These homes are being targeted. Flames coming up from inside the home through the roof. Through the roof. I don't know about you guys, but this is very hard. And it's very hard to say the same thing over and over and over again. This is an unconventional war. They're using unconventional weapons. And we're all going to be destroyed if people don't wake up. It's clear, it's in your face, and they are putting it in our face. You know, they broadcast this footage on a nightly basis. And I guess people just don't have brains anymore, and they're listening to the reporters and accepting everything that they hear. That's it. Well, when you're at war, that's not a good thing to do. Look at this. That's not a wildfire. These are homes burning up with a flame that is from 24 to 27 degrees Fahrenheit, destroying the homes. I'm going to start with this that was just posted today. California Assembly considers PG&E wildfire bailouts. I posted a video about PG&E being fined because of their equipment failures that fire investigators concluded earlier this year that was the cause of the devastating Northern California wildfires. Let me just say that I believe that they are using PG&E as the scapegoat. Perhaps they know that an awful lot of people were recognizing how anomalous were these wildfires last year, and recognizing that lasers, directed energy weapons, were used. So they have to come out with some other explanation for these fires. So they used PG&E as the scapegoat, claiming that PG&E had equipment failures, and that's the reason for all of these fires. And if that were true, then these homes would not have been obliterated into dust. What do we have here now? PG&E gets fined, and now the customers of PG&E will be paying that fine. How great is that? PG&E doesn't lose any money, it just gains a tremendous amount of money. Get it, Americans, your money is being stolen left and right. God, Americans can really put up with an awful lot of abuse. I hope that you bookmark this site, Chemtrail Planet. It has a tremendous amount of information. And thank you, Jay Breezes, for leaving the link again underneath a recent video that I posted, information that is necessary for anyone who needs to understand what is going on. And it's the subjects: dying trees, cloud types, animal deaths, fluoride, Monsanto, vaccines, homeopathy, false flags, mind control, trolls and chills, global warming scam, Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, whistleblowers, gun control, chemtrail research, military and government documents, weaponized weather, strange rain and snow, slideshows, photos, and I'm on this page, directed energy weapons. Thank you, Jay Breezes, for creating this site and providing us with invaluable information to understand what is going on. Temperatures at which different materials burn or melt, the different colors of flames and the temperatures of that flame, and an awful lot of information just on one page about these directed energy weapons that are being used against Americans. The viability of directed energy weapons. This is on the heritage.org website, and let me just read a few passages. Directed energy weapons on the cusp of replacing chemical-powered weapons like conventional weapons. On the cusp, this was written, directed energy weapons have replaced the guns, the conventional weapons, the chemical-powered weapons. Directed energy weapons use the electromagnetic spectrum, light and radio energy, to attack pinpoint targets at the speed of light. Defending against threats such as missiles and artillery shells, which directed energy weapons can shoot down in mid-flight. Particle beam weapons, which they now have. The kinetic energy imparted by a particle stream destroys the target by heating the target's atoms to the point that the material literally explodes. Wow, let me read that again. The kinetic energy imparted by a particle stream destroys the target by heating the target's atoms to the point that the material literally explodes.
Soviets are now on the threshold of deploying a particle beam weapon, which would throw giant lightning bolts up at incoming ballistic missiles to simply obliterate them. It is my judgment that the weapon has now been largely perfected and will appear in the field operationally early in the 1980s.
Now, this is one of the more interesting things that Tesla made, and it's called a Teleforce. Has anyone ever heard of a Teleforce gun? Tesla invented it back in 1914, 1915, and it was designed to be a weapon. It was a particle beam weapon. And what it did, it would take tungsten metal, and it would cause that to break up under intense electrical pressure and make a beam of tungsten particles that would shoot out extremely fast, and anything in their way would be damaged. And not many people talk about this.
In the 1930s, Tesla announced that he had created a peace ray for the purpose of ending all war. Nikola Tesla died on January 7th, 1943. 2 days later, all of his possessions were seized by the United States government. In the 1970s and 80s, the Department of Defense, CIA and FBI set about reorganizing and researching Tesla's notes and diaries, concerned that the Soviet Union was producing experiments based on his projected energy research. In 1989, as part of the Strategic Defense Initiative, tests were done involving a particle beam accelerator, similar to Tesla's Space Ray.
Well, that's what we're seeing. Homes exploding in flames. Lasers produce narrow, single frequency, single color, coherent beams of light that are much more powerful than ordinary light sources. So, a free electron laser. This laser uses rings of magnetically confined electrons whirling at the speed of light to produce laser beams that can be turned or tuned up and down the electromagnetic spectrum, from microwaves to ultraviolet light. The power output necessary for a weapons-grade laser ranges from 10 kilowatts to 1 megawatt. When a laser beam strikes a target, the energy from the photons in the beam heats the target to the point of combustion, or melting.
The high-powered FEL uses a superconducting electron gun, which is powered by a microwave tube.
FEL is very unique. It is tunable and can generate multiple wavelengths. This is needed because the Navy is going to encounter threats in various scenarios across the world, and the environment will change. And the typical lasers only have one wavelength, which means they lose their effectiveness in other environments because of the way the light propagates. FEL can change its wavelength, so it can propagate in multiple environments, and we can change it to suit wherever we are.
ONR recently awarded a contract to Boeing to build the next generation free electron laser to go from the current 14 kilowatt FEL capability to a 100 kilowatt FEL.
The benefits definitely are greater than the investments that we're putting in today for our future armed forces.
Oh, the wheels of cars melting.
The flames destroyed all of them.
Nothing but metal left. Everything, you can see the aluminum rims are melted. It was so hot.
The weapon can have an almost endless magazine of laser bursts. Why? Because they can recharge these weapons just like you recharge your phone. So, current laser technology, because they were invented several decades ago, lasers are the most mature of the directed energy weapon technologies. Laser dazzlers, devices that use laser light to temporarily blind sensors, optics, and personnel are already available for law enforcement and military use. Chemical oxygen iodine laser coil. When the coil fires, maximum energy is transmitted to the target. The skin of the missile heats up, melts, and deforms. Advanced tactical laser that they use to attack ground targets. Like a home. Microwave weapons. High-power microwave weapons work by producing either beams or short bursts of high-frequency radio energy, similar in principle to the microwave oven. Microwave energy encounters unshielded wires or electronic components. It induces a current in them, which causes the equipment to malfunction. At higher energy levels, the microwaves can permanently burn out equipment, much as a close lightning strike could.
Well, Zach, officials tell me apparently the fire was started by a lightning strike. Now, right now it's estimated to be about 8 to 10 acres in size, and it was reported just after 6:30.
Explosively pumped flux compression generator. This produces electrical pulses in the terawatt range, the equivalent of 10 to 1,000 lightning strikes. And we all know that lightning strikes can cause fires. The future of DEW. Future research will seek to increase the power and decrease the size of DEW systems. As they become smaller, DEW weapons will first be vehicle mounted and then man portable. The death ray of science fiction may in fact become a reality in the not too distant future. This was just within the last couple of days posted here. China claims to have developed a long-range laser gun that can burn flesh. It's a stealth laser weapon capable of burning targets nearly a kilometer away. It can fire an invisible energy beam that could cause instant carbonization of human skin and tissue at a range of 800 meters, and nobody will know where the attack came from. It will look like an accident. It's considered to be a non-lethal weapon, but all of these non-lethal weapons can be turned into lethal weapons if they so choose to turn it into a deadly weapon. This laser gun cannot kill in a single shot. It would need to be consistently fired at a person to burn a hole in them. We have these. China, Russia, the United States, we have had these weapons for a very, very long time. But they come out and say, oh, look, this is new. It's not new. One possible application for the gun is burning protest banners from a long distance, or setting fire to protesters' hair or clothing so that they lose the rhythms of their speech and powers of persuasion. There's a rechargeable lithium battery pack similar to those found in smartphones.
Can I ask you a question about some of the technology that you're developing to fight the war on terror, specifically directed energy and high-powered microwave technology? When do you envision that you can weaponize that type of technology?
Goodness. It is in, for the most part, the kinds of things you're talking about are in varying early stages.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
Do you have anything you'd add?
I don't think I would add much. I think they are in early stages and probably not ready for employment at this point.
No, you're lying. You're lying. What makes you lie?
in the normal order of things, when you invest in research and development and begin a developmental project, you don't have any intention or expectations that one would use it. On the other hand, the real world intervenes from time to time, and you reach in there and take something out that is still in a developmental stage, and you might use it. So your question's not answerable. It depends on what happens in the future and how well things move along the track, and whether or not someone feels it's appropriate to reach into a development stage and see if something might be useful, as was the case with the unmanned aerial vehicles.
But you sound like you're willing to experiment.
I think that's the point, and I think, we have, I think, from the beginning of this conflict, I think General Franks has been very open to looking at new things if there are new things available, and has been willing to put them into the fight even before they've been fully wrung out. And I think that's not referring to these particular cases of directed energy or high-powered microwave, but high-powered microwave, but sure. And yes, we will continue to do that.